It is the year 1973. 4 years after American astronauts first stepped foot on the moon. The Soviet space program, having failed to reach the moon, has shifted its focus towards space stations and autonomous landers. Among the many space stations the Soviets would launch, a secretive series of military satellites under the so-called Almaz or Diamond program stand out. Starting in 1973, the Almaz program produced space stations which were armed. After shifting focus away from the moon, the Soviets launched the Salyut-1 space station on April 19, 1971. This was the first inhabited space station, and its crew set the record for the longest period in space at the time, 23 days. This newfound success, however, was soured when the three-man crew asphyxiated to death from capsule pressure failure. These were the first and so far only men to die in space. Despite this, the Soviets pressed on and launched many more space stations. Aside from the publicly revealed space stations, there were also a multitude of secret military stations. The first of these were the Almaz stations. Beginning with OPS-1 on April 3rd, classified falsely as Salyut-2, a total of 3 Almaz were launched. Each Almaz station, in addition to standard radio and survival equipment and hardware, were also each fitted with a modified 23mm Richter anti-aircraft autocannon positioned on the belly of the ship. The cannon was a modified version of that seen on the Tu-22 bomber, and was capable of firing at up to 2,600 rounds per minute. It fired 170-gram projectiles at a speed of approximately 850 meters per second, relative to the orbit of the ship. The cannon's high rate of fire was due to its revolver-like loading mechanism, similar to that seen in the US M39. Due to the cannon being attached to the hull of the ship, the entire station had to rotate for the gun to aim. In addition, the instability caused by firing the cannon meant that if RCS failed to stabilize the system during or after firing, the crew risked being thrown against the bulkhead or caught in a spin. To prevent such a calamity, the Soviet command only tested the autocannon remotely, with no crew aboard. The gun was tested successfully on board the second launch station, OBS-2, and reportedly exhausted its entire 32-round supply, destroying a defunct satellite. By 1975, however, the Soviet command realized that the Almaz stations were simply not useful enough to continue operation. The Almaz stations had been primarily used as military reconnaissance, spying on NATO facilities from orbit, and were obsolete with the rise of advanced spy satellites. With no crew to protect and no American military spacecraft in known operation to defend from, the Soviets abandoned their research into weaponized spaceships. Interestingly, though, the Soviets had planned to fly another station armed with a missile launcher and a custom space-to-space autocannon. Unfortunately, none of these ideas found use. And so ended the story of Almaz, humanity's only crewed military spacecraft.